Hey friends, welcome to the Friday Drive. Tim here. I'm going to get right into it. An oldie but a goodie, but a really good framework for you guys to look at. What kind of leader are you? I think it's really important as far as exercising our self-awareness, understanding who we are and kind of how we approach things. I want to introduce you to the Invitation Challenge Matrix. Bear with me, there's a lot here, but I think you'll find it really valuable as we go through. So I want you to think of this line going up as you're more of an invitational leader. The more invitational you are as a leader, the higher up on the scale you go. If you're a challenge leader, the further to the right you go, the more challenging of a leader you are. And so let's talk about what happens when you are a leader who's mostly invitational and doesn't have a lot of challenge, okay? We look at this corner and we go, okay, this is somebody who's a lot of good qualities. They care deeply for their people. They see their people. They acknowledge their people. They celebrate their people. Those are all good qualities. But at the same time, if they're only invitational, there's a good chance they avoid conflict. There's a good chance that they lower the bar for people at times and give them a pass when they should be holding them accountable. So you lack a little bit of accountability, sometimes a lot of accountability. Problems can rise up, swirl can happen, and it's never addressed. So when you're only an invitation leader, what happens is you get a lack of accountability and the culture gets entitled. And by the way, you can look at these in parenting and any leadership space. If you have two parents that are invitational, that are always lowering the bar for their children, that are always doing their homework for them, that are always holding their weight when they climb across the monkey bars, what you get is an entitled kid. All right, the same thing is true in business. You'll see the exact same thing. No accountability, no sort of struggle to get where you need to go, no challenge, therefore that child is just going to be raised that way, and then they're going to hit the real world and struggle. Same thing with our organizations, okay? So maybe this is you, maybe not. The other side can be equally as detrimental, right? If you're all challenged, this is a leader, there's a lot of good qualities in a challenge leader, right? A challenge leader is somebody who wants to develop you, wants you to grow, gives you opportunities that are just out of your reach, kind of making you go after things, setting high metrics for you to reach. The bar is set fairly high, and they're doing everything they can to make you reach that. However, if that's all there is and there's no invitation, so you walk into work, there's emails being sent at 10 o'clock at night while their kids are trying to talk to them. It's numbers all the time, and there's no like, hey, how are you doing? What's going on with you? That sort of thing. There'll be seasons of that, but if it's that all the time, then what happens is knuckles drag, and people come in and they're exhausted, they're burnt out, and the team is just swirling. And usually either illness or exhaustion will take effect and people will just leave the company. And you'll kind of see that as well. All right, now, if you don't have either one of these things, everybody's just bored and looking for another job, okay? Because they're not being challenged, grown, developed. They're also not being seen and acknowledged and celebrated for who they are and what they're there for, okay? You have to have both. Now, what we're after, though, is this top right-hand corner. When you get both and a good mix, and all I'm talking about is the bar is set, so we don't lower the bar for people, that's the challenge side. But then we put our arm around them and say, here's how you're going to get there. And we coach them, we develop them, we grow them, we teach them, we see them, okay? To help them get there. We celebrate them when they reach it, okay? These are all big things that live in this upper right-hand quadrant. And so another way to think about this is you can start thinking about it this way, okay? Are you a caregiver? Again, going to that caregiver corner. Are you a commander all the time? Is that where you sit? If you're not doing either, you're a corpse, okay? Because everybody's just bored and leaving. But what we're after is the coach, okay? We want to get to the coach's corner. A lot of you have heard me talk about this in our coaching calls, but this is really important for you to recognize. Where do I play on this chart? Do the self-awareness and kind of lean in and say, as I live, as I breathe, as I come into the office, as I show up every day, am I living more in this space or this space? Or am I actually starting to develop some really good qualities of both that come into this, okay? By the way, if you're an Enneagram follower, we've used the Enneagram a lot with a lot of you. Here's where you sort of fall out and naturally, okay? So if you're a 6, a 3, a 1, a 5, an 8, you're more on that challenge side. So you're somebody who's going to be more prone to do this. Doesn't mean you can't do invitation. You certainly can, depending on what your influencer is, etc. And these are the types that are more invitational by nature. So these are the folks that are going to lean a little bit more towards people. Okay, so know that this is the starting point for you and a natural default for you, but we're all working to get to this coach's corner. Okay, so if you're an 8 and you're really challenging your people all the time and you're kind of driving performance and driving numbers and driving all that, you're going to have to take the road this way a little bit away from that and kind of move up into that invitation, almost over the top invitation, before you can kind of come back over here. Because your people won't, if you go straight from here to here, your people won't believe it. Okay, so invitation challenge matrix, again, you know, what we're talking about here is something that's very valuable as a self-awareness tool. Check it out, spend time. We can talk about it on our coaching calls, okay? Now, what's going on at 5 Capitals? We have another next level leader coming up. We're excited about this. I'm going to put the landing page in the email below. Please take a look at it. If you've got people on your team that you need to develop and you don't have the time or the skill set or whatever reason to do it internally, please take a look at this. These are the topics we cover in here. So it's a lot of hard skills and soft skills in here. Self-awareness, executive presence, self-leadership, empathy and EQ. Those are the soft skills. The art of communication, conflict resolution, effective time management, setting priorities, developing your leader box or your toolkit, anticipating trouble and leading change, and then developing others, which obviously we just talked about, okay? So if you've got somebody in your organization that could benefit from this, it's a year-long program. It's $500 a month. It's a low price point. What a great way to invest in your people. If you've got folks like that, sign them up. It's coming up here in May. All right. And then lastly, I put an article in here. This is just the third-party resource for those of you who are really strong number 2s in organizations, because we have a lot of you that are 5 Capitals clients. I want you to read this article because I want you to know how valuable you are to your organization. And if you're a leader who has a good number 2 with you, a good second in command, that sort of thing, you definitely want to read this article too, because it points out some really great things about that combination and how effective it can be. And I know a lot of you out there, and you've got great combinations between the two. So appreciate you guys. Can't wait to see you on our coaching calls next week. Thanks for hanging in there with me.